What's going on? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there?
Yeah.
Welcome to Local Musicians.
XP around this boy.
Right. My name is Chris Burrows. With me is my trusty partner in crime, the great Tyrone Jackson. We are here for your Tuesday night entertainment. We're going to talk, I think, mostly about a mentor of ours and a mentor to hundreds of guys. And when I say it, I'm not even being I'm not exaggerating at all. I guess there's a lot of things that we're going to tie into this unfortunate passing, but right. It's coming out, showing your face, right? It's so important. Right. I think at any level. But let's get to our tribute and of our great friend and mentor to so many, the late great Russell Malone, man.
From Albany, Georgia.
One of the most diabolically talented cats. Like, I mean, his talent, obviously he worked.
Oh, his work ethic is.
But he was, you know, some guys, this is what you get when a cat is touched and they put the work in. You get this level, man. I remember hearing about him when I first moved to Georgia in 1991. And, you know, the local music store that was I was living in Noonan, and the local music store was Jackson's Music at the time. Right. And the owner, Steve Stanley, you know, of course, that's when you move to a new town. What you used to do? You go to the local music store. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm new in town, just trying to meet people, blah, blah, blah. You might put your little ad, no, whatever, man. That's how we used to do. But Steve turned out to be jazz aficionado and a guitar player in his own right, but knew some jazz guitar, man. I mean, all the masters, you know, Wes Montgomery, Joe Pass, Pat Martini. He comes, you know, but he was the first one that told me about Russell. It's like, you gotta check out Russell Malone. Yeah, he's from Albany. He used to play in this band called League of Decency. And League of Decency was, of course, Tommy Dean.
Tommy Dean, yeah.
And I think some other cats that might be, if anybody's in the chat, but it was Tommy Dean, Russell Malone was in the band. Wow. And there was a few other cats. But that was where I first heard about him. Mm-hmm. And I'm not totally immersed in straight ahead yet. You know, right. Mm-hmm. It's still, I'm kind of off and on with it. So I remember buying Roy Hargrove's Crisol record, which is the album that he went to Cuba and got all the Cuban cats on. And it was like Chucho Valdez and El Negro, you know, I'm studying because that's where I'm at that time, like studying all of that stuff. But lo and behold, Russell Malone is on that record. I said, oh man, that's the cat that Steve was talking about. And then I ended up meeting him when we were doing our session we'll pull up some pictures later of that from Twain's. And that was probably what, 2008, maybe 9. When we started that session. Was it something like that? Yeah. He had known me for many, and I wasn't nobody. I mean, I'm still not, but I'm just saying, like at that time, I'm just a dude, house drummer on a jazz session. But he treated me like I was his drummer, and I saw him. We both have stories about, you know. He wasn't playing, man. Even with the locals, he was not playing, you know. Yeah. And if something was lacking, he was gonna let you know. Period. End of story. Yep. So,
man, you said something, because if he liked something about your playing, he would let you know about it, you know. And he would tell you to keep on going. And it's just a great feeling when you have a cat on that level. Just to show up, you know, and then
just to show up, man.
Yeah,
just to show up, man.
And you're like, that's the perks of having a session like that, because we always get the regular folks come up. But, you know, when Russell comes out or cats from Lincoln Center come and sit in, and remember Elu came in that time and played like a solo thing at Giant Steps. And I mean, it's just the cats coming out to those kind of sessions for a person in a rhythm section to say, okay, got to put my big boy pants on now. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been working for. Let's see if we can hang. Let's see if we can represent, you know that your education was going to happen, you know, right then and there. And then those nights, bruh, you go home, you don't go to sleep. You probably start working, you know, while it's fresh, which is great. Or relive those moments, you know, runs through your head while you're laying on the pillow trying to go to sleep. You're thinking about what you could have done or what happened or what you accomplished or, you know, all those different things. From a person who plays harmony, though, to hear a guitar player with that depth of harmonic intuition. And, you know, usually as a piano player, I'll take the intros or the outros. But when he played, man, he looked at me, I'm like, you got it, like that. And he plays some of the most beautiful outros in the world, or intros. And I was like, oh my goodness. He sounds like a piano player the way he's playing these intros and stuff, you know. Just a beautiful lesson to hear, you know.
Can you imagine? I mean, we sit here and we laugh at it, but it's like, can you imagine you jumping in and try to, and you just jump in and try to play it, and you, man,
Cats
come on,
do it all
man.
the time. Cats do it all the time. And neither does he want you to sit back and not play either. But find where the spots, find your groove, stick to it, and be open and listen. You know, don't remember Michael Jordan. It's go time. You know, when it gets tough, we got a killer on our squad. Give it to him. So with Russell, I got a killer in the band. Dude, take us where we need to go. You lead. Okay. But you're right. You know, you have to, it's a respect factor. If you jump all on the thing, you're going to miss your lesson. You know, in those sessions, people came and they saw. It was like magic, though. I don't know how these guitar players knew Russell. It's not like he broadcasted it. It's like whenever he was in town, word would travel so quickly. Mm-hmm. All the guitar players would be at the session. You know, what's your look back moment for Russell? Like when you felt like you could really play and Russell showed up.
One of the greatest things that he ever did was introduced me to Kenny Barron and said, Kenny wants to meet you and he wants to get your information. And he was totally, so that was probably my great moment.
That was probably the same day as my great moment with Russell. That gig, it was in Churchill in the Whisper Room or whatever.
My gig. Yeah, it was my gig.
It's your gig, right? So I'm on it. But, so Mace was on the gig.
And Mace and Craig.
So as soon as the gig was over, we played the last tune. Mace says, Kenny Barron's in the audience. I said, man, you're lying. Stop lying.
Mm-hmm.
He says, no, he's right there in the center, close to the front. Turn around and I look, and it was Kenny Barron right there. I said, oh, snap, like that, right? Because what most people don't know is I wanted to go to Rutgers to study with Kenny Barron. As I'm getting over that, Russell comes on stage. I think he talked to you first. Then he came up to me. He gave me the biggest hug. And in true Russell fashion, he whispered in my ear an expletive-laden sentence that said, basically, I'm so blah, 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 effing proud of y'all right now.
Right.
And I said, what? He said, man. He said, Kenny was bopping to everything. He was really listening. He said, the missing person who needed to be here was Kurt Elling. That's what he said. Kurt Elling should have heard this, but he went back to the hotel. He said, man, I'm so proud of y'all right now. So just what you said, it's like he walks in and sees us. He's like, hey, man, these guys could play. Or I guess just imagine him walking in with the crew and telling them, hey, there's a jazz spot that the cats play here.
Right.
Then coming up to Sam Yee and is like, hey, man, who's playing tonight? It's the Chris Burroughs Collective with Tyrone Jackson, blah, blah, blah. And then he's saying, okay, I know these cats play, but let's see what happens.
Right? He's never heard us
play in
that capacity before.
Right.
I think about that, bro. Like, had that been, oh man.
Yeah, but why would he come on stage like that and say, he would say, I'm so effing proud of y'all right now.
Right.
And he said, Kenny was checking out the whole thing, whatever. And I said, I need to meet him. And he says, I'm introducing you right now. And bruh, with Russell introducing me, I just felt like, man, I was lifted, bro. I was like, first of all, I'm meeting an idol of mine who's on the screen right now, Kenny Barron, who's still kicking, still playing, still contributing.
Right.
But the person who introduces me is saying all these accolades about me. And I'm like, Russell, have you really heard me play him?
He heard you. Because
right.
Yeah.
And so, man, if that dude wanted me to drive him to New Mexico, bro, that night I would have done it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I would be like, get in the car, Russell.
We were still playing when Mace came over, because, and said that to me, whispered in my ear. We were still playing.
Right.
And when he said that, he was like, he said Kenny Barron's is here. And I just said, oh, okay. After we finished and we were, Russell was introducing us to everybody. I remember sitting down with Blake and Regina, and he was asking about, he said, man, what was that? What's that tune y'all was doing? So it's like a Joe Sample tune, something like that. I said, keep that same old feeling. Yeah, that's it. And they started kind of reminiscing. It's like, yeah, that's a hip arrangement. I said, yeah, man, that's my man. That's my man's arrangement, Tyrone's arrangement. So they were talking about that. That's
why Regina got my information that night.
That's why I
heard you write arrangements. That's what she said. So I never heard that side of the conversation after all these years. That's crazy. So I was like, why did Regina ask from? How does she know I write arrangements? You do arrangements.
Yep.
Right.
But at the end of the day, don't be a clone. No. Which is what we have a lot today is just playing verbatim exactly like somebody else,
And we're not saying not to learn vocabulary and learn language and learn the greats and learn from the masters. We're not saying it's all right for you to sound like Coltrane and sound like that. We're not saying that. We're saying don't just be like everybody else. Find your own sound. But your sound will come from you studying everybody.
You have to be willing to take some chances. You have to be willing to see what works and what doesn't work for you. And the only way to do that, man, is like you have to get out there.
My point is this. Okay.
You want some
Russell Malone, when you hear him play, you hear the depth of guitar.
Right.
You can hear Benson, you can hear Martino, you can hear Herb Ellis,
you hear the history. You hear the
history. So you hear the depth of his knowledge, vastness of his vocabulary was probably his biggest trait, is that he could play like you said, the history of the instrument, being able to play that.
Perfect example. We're talking about, just hard tunes, basically, is what we're kind of talking about. Right? I don't know how Freddie Hubbard's Thermo got brought up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I know because I had been studying that, and I think I was working on trying to do an arrangement of that, right? So I may have brought that up. This cat starts playing Thermo on the guitar, but Russell starts playing that. He starts playing, bro. He plays the whole head on guitar, right? He's like, you know, brother, and I'm just like, and then he plays. That's a tricky mother, Russell,
right?
And he kept repeating that line, But
Right.
that he kept repeating that. I had to work on that, man, a lot. When your ear is that developed, and then you're obviously something like Thermo, you would have to shed. You got to shed that one, right?
It's not
like
just the ear; it's retention. You can have the perfect ear, but the retention has to be there too.
Right. Going a little bit back to what we're talking about is him connecting everybody, right? He had a natural way of connecting individuals. And I would probably, I can only guess how many people he connected together that are playing legendary, either in legendary bands, making legendary music. It's probably because of him, because
he sacrificed for that guitar and music. And that's everywhere. Everybody knew early Russell. Told me he was shedding all the time, playing all the time at every session, all the time, just hungry. And I mean, I dare say those sacrifices, you're going to sacrifice relationships, you're going to sacrifice TV shows, you're going to sacrifice wanting to go somewhere, hobbies, whatever. I mean, you're sacrificing a lot to play the instrument. So like Bill Hatcher said, when his opportunity came, he was ready. And that's just what happened. As soon as I remember seeing him on the halftime show for football. I mean, no, for the Star Spangled Banner, him and Branford for one of the football games doing Star Spangled Banner. I was like, oh my goodness. And that's before I knew who Russell was. And I was like, man, that guitar player is killing. That's what I said. Found out later on it was Russell. I was like, man.
So let's tell a couple of stories.
He could be volatile too. I'm not gonna name any names.
You don't have to.
I won't. But if
you can, if you want.
If you are listening, and you know this situation, and even if you were the offender, please chime in. Let me know what you were thinking about in this moment. So,
that would be great.
We were at Twain's at a jam session. You rotate musicians, so you don't know what configuration is going to be on stage. So I will name this name. Justin Shasark was on drums, and I was on piano, and this young bass player who had studied down a state below us at a very nice institution. Nice institution.
Yeah.
Some of those cats that go to Florida State, they get kind of chesty. They think they're going to come up to Atlanta and show us how to play. I'm just going to say it like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot of them come up. Because there's not a real scene down there, but, there's a scene up here. So they come after they get out of this school. They think they're going to set Atlanta on fire.
Right.
So this guy comes in and Russell says, I'm just going to call out some superficial tunes, but he's like, do you know it'd be so nice to come home to? You'd be so nice to come home to.
Okay.
I said, yeah. Shasark said, yeah. Bass player's like, no, I don't know it. He's like, man, okay. Do you know someone to watch over me? And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm glad he's calling all the songs that I know so far, right? I don't really like to play somewhere, but I could play it, right? And you dare not. This is before Real Pro really took off. But with these kind of cats, you couldn't bring it out anyway. They would be like, let's play something you would know. Don't read anything, right? So, second song, cat says no. He says, just looks like this. Now people are watching. This is a celebrity in the house. They said, all right, what about Beautiful Love? Me and Justin like, yeah, we know it. Bass player says, no. He's like, God. He said, what songs do you know? You don't know these little baby tunes that I'm calling out? What songs do you know? I can't believe this, man. You call yourself a bass player? You want to work in this town? You want to work in any town? And you don't know these tunes? And just as he says that, Cat starts crying. What a gig. I'm like, oh, yo, it's getting serious. He says, lay out and listen. Says, Tyrone, let's go. And Justin, you start playing the tune, whatever. Hey, at that time I couldn't think about him, bro. Like Dwight. What's that? I got to think of Andrew's. I got to think about my own dang self, bro. So we played it, bro. I looked at Chisari after that was over. Chisari came up to me and said, "I'm so glad I knew the tune." I was like, "Oh, I felt so bad for that cat." I was like, "Whew." You remember that though, right?
I mean, I must have been on break, or I don't think I was there for that.
To sit in because Chisari sat in, and Chisari was pretty young too,
right?
So he got by the hair of his chinny chin too.
Yeah, but so let's talk about when he borrowed a certain guitar player's guitar. Let's talk about that.
All right, so I got to set the stage for this because this particular guitar player never comes out to jam sessions.
Right. So
I had been seeing this guitar player because they taught at a particular university that I would do stuff for all the time, right? And so it's like, man, I was telling him, I was like, man, you need to come to this jam session. It's in your neck of the woods, bro. It's high level. It's been going great. Right. Get some. Marcus Printup was in last week, blah, blah, blah. So he says, man, I don't really go to jam sessions. I was like, dude, just come play with the cats, right? So this cat comes in, to my surprise. I said, man, you finally made it, huh? He's like, yeah, I came through. Beautiful guitar, nice amp, all this kind of stuff, and plays. And as he plays, and like I said, a whole bunch of guitar players come out that night.
Yeah.
Russell Malone walks in mid-phrase while the dude is playing, right? Standing there. I can see the cat like, oh, snap, that's Russell Malone, right?
You're right.
Trade a little bit, we play. Russell gets closer. Joe says, great Russell Malone is in. Yeah, everybody, great. Y'all want to hear him play? Said, yeah. So the cat starts, I almost mentioned his name. The cat unplugs his guitar. And Russell's like, no, don't unplug it. I like your guitar. Hey, can I play it? Cat was like, by all means, right? Russell takes his guitar, proceeds to play sounds and tones I never heard out of that guitar. I dare say that cat never heard of his guitar. He's getting jealous like Russell is teaching his wife to shoot pool or something, just like caressing on him. It's like that's the way he's looking at it. And so literally Russell was playing that junk was like smoking. He hands the guitar back to the guitar player. He's like, man, I like this bad boy. The guy says, you're never going to treat my guitar like that again. Shuts his case and walks out, right? So fast forward. Every week, we never see this guitar player again. By the way, Russell hasn't been back in town.
Right. And this is like how much like
this is
how far
a year and a couple of months later.
Right.
Well, fate would have it. This cat comes back in. I see him. I said, bruh, been a long time. He says, yeah. He said, I was kind of fearful of coming back because of what happened the last time. I said, man, that was so long ago. As we turn to the door, who walks in the room again? Russell Malone. This cat says, not again. Walks out and has never come back, never came back. All he said was, not again. I was like, what? How is this such a coincidence? What is the odds? What are the odds that this would happen again? Wouldn't it be just like so Russell?
He show up at the cat's school. Like,
yes, on the cat. He got low jack on the chair.
Good to see. He just show up in the class and sit down. And you can see Russell just be like,
Right.
Man, that's a diabolical cat.
Russell put a tracking device on his guitar last time he played it.
I mean, I know, man. There's.
I saw this Falgu, and I thought this was really interesting because coming from another guitar player, I thought this was pretty cool because I never even thought about this or even noticed what appendages he was using to play the guitar. I just heard the sounds. But Bill Hatcher says, to my ear, when you hear Russell playing by himself, just using his thumb and first finger, that's when you hear his best individual sound. That got him away from his heavy pick sound and whatever else. But I never thought about the technique. Like Wes Montgomery only played with his thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't play with a pick. And most people to get that sound, you know, would use a pick, whatever. But it would be, I guess, an unorthodox kind of thing to play.
There was a cat in town that, man, he was really good, man. He's like a lawyer or something now.
Oh, yeah.
What's my man's name? Man, he was great, man.
Yeah. Oh, Brian Leach.
Brian Leach.
Yeah.
Brian Leach.
Brian Leach was bad. Oh, here's the scene of the crime. Look at that.
Babies.
Right there.
Babies.
Man.
Look at that shirt.
On a golf course, bro?
Man, what am I rocking? I know. What the lapel.
You look real thin, bro. I can't see no belly or anything.
Look at that.
Yeah, you can see all the symbols and everything, bro.
Good Lord.
Look at Joe.
That's 2013, really?
Wow.
I guess that would be right.
Yeah, Sanford's in the picture too. Front and center, look at him.
There's a good one.
A young Kenny Banks, young Darren English.
Darren. Mm-hmm.
Oh, shoot, that's not my keyboard. I'm not on this gig.
That looks like Senior. The Privia.
Yeah. Look, but hey, look at this picture though. Look at all the cats who are not playing, who they're staring at.
Right.
Just watching the master.
Well, it's you getting a free education, man.
Yeah.
Have a chance to play with someone that is several levels above you.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
But you know, another thing is that it made me think about, Chris, is that now that we're I hate to say this about ourselves, but in the status of we are educating people by what we play and how we play it, maybe we have more obligation when we go out to places. You know, I kind of make it a point to go out to sessions when I visit a place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but maybe we need to go out to places and play so they can get the level up. So, you know, I went to the Chairs Jam session about 3 weeks ago on a Sunday and played, and the cat Dre, shout out to Dre, he's trying to do something.
Yeah, shout out to Dre, man. What's up, Dre?
So he said, man, we got the great Tyrone Jackson in the house. He's a mentor to us all. That's what he said. And I looked in the band and I said, man, these young cats, they've come across some advice I've given them over some time, you know. That's really education. You're passing along knowledge, you know.
But well, all right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap it up a little bit. We're gonna kind of get it short tonight. And B, do you have the GoFundMe? There's a GoFundMe for Russell's memoriam that we want to pass along.
In fact, after you do that, if you get a chance, see if you can pull up that picture of Ron Carter where they left the chair open for him on the rest of their tour. It's just a really poignant picture. It's in the chat too, if you want to go check it out. And
it shouldn't be hard to find, but that is the actual link. And T just put it in the or B just put it in the chat. And
I wish we could have got Joel Powers from Albany, Terrell Stafford, drummer, is from Albany. Russell was a mentor to to Joel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I told him that
he didn't even mention that. I never talked to him about that.
Yeah, talked to him about it, man. He heard him when he was a little kid, man. Told him that he needed to make his way to Atlanta. That's the only way he's going to get better as a bass player. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Because he was, he was probably the man at all, but there it is.
Yeah.
So they're still on tour, and they, instead of getting somebody else, they left a chair out there for him.
Nice. Beautiful. Look
at the chair raised. It's an old school chair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that you can raise or lower.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tribute for the great Russell Malone right there.
Great cat, but hey, held you accountable, right?
Right.
Held you accountable. All that to say, go check out, if you are not familiar with Russell's work, his library is extensive. I mean, from a sideman, it's ridiculous. I'm sure you can look it up and see all, a bunch of records that he played on, but his solo records. And go check out his library and listen to some Russell Malone this week, man.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. But most importantly, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Share this podcast and let us know what you think about it. All right, guys. We will see you all next week. Peace.